Hey, what's up, guys? Belton here. Back after a few day break. Just had some IRL stuff with family, so haven't been able to play in a few days, but getting back to it today. Um, just wanted to do a little quick video going over what I've been doing to make some currency, some stuff that I think is a good investment right now, and just a couple things I've noticed. I have missed about like 9 or 10 days. How many days of the league are we? I missed the first day and then four, so I've missed about 5 or 6 days of the league so far. So a little bit more. Casual, I suppose, of a start than I would normally have, but still found some good opportunities. Now, the first thing that I was doing was running the Einhar's Memory of Harvest Beasts. Nothing new there. I did allude to this quite a bit in my earlier video as well. I did stream all of this. I apologize for the people that were looking for the VODs for that. It got... DMC8 or whatever because I was playing music. But in any case, Vivid Watcher, if you go sort my videos by the most popular, the one that I have that is how to make 3 mirrors a day at League Start in white gear in leveling gear running white maps, it'll bring you to the Einhar Memory of Harvest Beast video explaining how it fully works. And as well, attached to that video, you'll see this calculator here. This can be done at any time. If you want to use it as a user, all you do is go File, make a copy, and then you can edit it based on your needs. Any one of these slots or cells that has a yellow background means that it is a point for a data entry. So you enter the price of a mirror, how many people are in your party, how long does it take you to run a memory in minutes, and then the individual price of each beast, and then the price of a harvest memory, and it'll tell you what the profit is there. For myself, I was running them solo initially. The idea that you have to have like people feeding you is a fallacy. Especially early on, one memory will pay for itself. So the first memory you can run, and then that pays for 1.5 memories, and then 1.5 pays for 2.25, 2.25 pays for 3.4, 3.4 plays for 5.1, 5.1 plays for 2 or what's that 7.6, 7.6 pays for 11.4, whatever it is, on and on, right? And that's just doing it solo. Now obviously you're going to have some variants, so you probably want to get a few of them. One of the things I did, actually, I got quite lucky on my first day. I had a inspired learning drop, which I sold for like 4.5 divs, and that was one of the bigger boons I had for this. But thereafter, if memory serves, I was making approximately 22 divines an hour profit doing this, and then bringing on additional party members was quite lucrative for that as well. One of the things on top of that has been making me quite a bit of money have been these new bases, the 30 quality ones. You can see here the Superior Warlock boots. That's the new T1 base, 30 quality, 100%. I actually bought this pair of boots unsplit for I think 40 divines. Then I split it 3 times using Black Morgan, so you get 3 separate bases. And I actually sold Captain Lance, of all people, one pair of these, one of the 3 for 37 divs. And so, at the end of it, we'll make 111 divs off of 40 divs there. Other things that I've been doing too is just some double corrupting on some armor stacker stuff. I've mentioned previously that I like to focus on things that people typically like to go for later on as an initial plan. Because they're typically at their highest supply and their lowest demand right at the beginning of a league. And then obviously as the league progresses through time, people tend to transition towards these builds overwhelmingly. If you're looking for a build that tends to be a late game oriented one, they're usually things that just have a secondary source of stacking, like stacker builds really. So something where it's like its main damage isn't directly necessarily correlated just with DPS mods. So think of things like Omni, accuracy stacking, int stacking, dex stacking, strength stacking, armor stacking, even fizz weapons and bows. This league has obviously had a pretty high distribution of variety in the builds compared to previous leagues. For myself, I really enjoyed playing Armor Stacker at the end of last league, so I just kind of jumped into that again as well. One of the things I made a bunch of money on, actually, is the Grasping Mails with the Armor Overcap. I was buying these for about 100C. I had like 5 or 6 of them. And you can see for the Armor Overcap, the cheapest thing one you're getting now is about 35 divs a piece. Doing some double corrupting on gems, and I also did a mirror craft in my first 5 days or so. You can see here I actually got very, very lucky with this. I got the Power Charge T1 Crit Multi and 7% int. Power Charge and T1 Crit Multi are actually both T0 rarity, meaning it takes over 1,000 vultures to hit those. And believe it or not, I actually ended up hitting that ring in its entirety on the implicit side in 213 vultures, 110 crate checks. That was pretty nuts. Yeah, I think for an ideal int stacker, you could arguably put spell damage per power charge in lieu of the crit multi. It would depend how much spell damage you have, and it would depend, of course, assuming you're using Crown of Eyes or the Wand Mastery. It would depend, again, how much spell damage you have and how much multi you have. Obviously, keeping things in balance is important. Suffix-wise there, that's good. We got the 3 T1 suffixes. Prefixes, I'd like to get T1 elemental damage with attacks, -7, and then ES most likely. Moving on from that, some of the other things of potential value. Oh, yeah. I think these are ludicrously underpriced. Ludicrously underpriced. Now, I realize that this league, there have been a couple changes that would slightly devalue 1 passive and 3 passive voices. But I actually was able to pick up 5 of them today. 5 3 passive voices. Now, normally I don't actually screw around with 3 passive voices because, and you know, I'm sure somebody watching this now is laughing because I'm sure I've called you a peasant at some point for using a 3 passive voices, but it looks like I'm the peasant now. But I actually bought them for 15, 14.8, 14.9, 19, and 20 divs today. I bought 5 of them, so on average it was 16.8 divs. You can see they've actually already gone up to 23 divines apiece, and that might seem like it's appreciating like crazy, but let me draw your attention to this here. PoE Antiquary. All right, so if we look at Necropolis League and Affliction League, you'll notice that 3 passive voices ended up being 450, 500 divs by the end of the league, or 10 days, 11 days in where we're at right now. You can see 110 divs or 50 divs. Now, these 2 leagues, these are going to be higher because these are the only 2 leagues since Adorned was in the game. Adorned actually obviously gave a lot of value to voices, both 1 and 3 passives. Obviously, it is still very, very good for other things. So, you know, since the nerf has happened, maybe you might want to take a look at, you know, let's say Ancestor League, Crucible League, and let's say Sanctum League. Either way, we can see by the end, we're looking at 65, 70 divs on these here. One thing, though, too, that is also very good for this that I think some people might be overlooking is the how good they are for Armor Stacker. That's obviously what I'm using them for myself. And I'd like to draw some attention to the fact that there are a ton of Armor Stacker mirror items now being made. You have Misha's made quite a few of them. Shout out to Misha, he's been killing it this league. But there's a Grace, Determination, and Discipline Aura Effect ring. There's the 92% reservation efficiency, +1 aura, 15% aura effect helmet with all the requisite mods there. And one of the big things, too, that I think people were sort of maybe not hesitant on, but I think this is what's been causing the spike on the overcap, is the fact that it turns out you can actually transfer Grasping Mail mods to the other bases. So if you look at the new armor bases, you can get something like 4,000 evasion and like 700 or 800 flat ES on the chest with while having armor overcap. On like the necrotic armor or on the Vol Regalia, you can have like 1200 flat ES. I think it'd be actually interesting to do the hybrid version because you can get Unbreakable. For myself, because I'm playing Juggernaut, this would be the case. With Unbreakable, though, it does actually work with Iron Reflexes. So if you have like say 4,000 flat evasion on the chest, this will actually double that to 8,000, then that converts and blah 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 blah. I was messing around with the POB a little bit. I don't POB very often, but I was able to get myself like north of 900,000 armor with this, as well as having the 90% max res, and then getting endurance charges too. Obviously, there's some tinkering to be done there, but again, one of the builds that really does take advantage of these voices clusters are armor stackers. And I do think that, in particular, as of late, I've noticed a lot of people with these armor overcap chests. I do think that Armor Stacker is something that we're going to see a lot of people playing. because you're able to get that ES from the helmet, gloves, even boots. You can do them with the Warlock boots if you don't want to use March of the Legion. Lots of availability with the rings, and you can go the double Dream Feather since you don't have the Fizz taken as anymore. I do think that that's going to be interesting. Today, actually, I got kind of screwed in the bunghole. I was, as I mentioned, I only used 213 vultures to hit this, like perfect triple tier 1 synth combo. Today, I spent 291 vultures and like 100 Kraychiks, so more than the cost of a Mage Blood rolling this. And I didn't hit a single T0, T1, or Tier 2 rarity synth implicit. So sometimes the dice fall in your way, sometimes they don't. Otherwise here, though, you can see I've just been splitting a bunch of different bases, double corrupting some replica Dream Feathers, doing some stuff with the Enlightens, and then the Voices. Again, I do think the Voices are going to be quite a good buy. You can see they're 23 divs right now. The difference between a 1 passive and a 3 passive Voices is only 1 passive point. So instead of having to spend 4 points, you have to spend 5. You can see here, instead of just having the 1, you have the 2 points there. But again, that also brings me to the next point. Item level 84, 6% mana reservation clusters. 1 div, 170 chaos. Crazy. And you can see here, we've got, 35% increased effect. Fire res, chaos res, blah blah blah. Obviously later on you want to get ones that have introspection as well here, but early on for myself at the moment, because I'm not using March of the Legion, you can see that I actually have a grace in my helmet, as well as a vitality I have on arrogance. Eventually I'll probably switch over to CI, drop this entire area down here and over here and through here, and then I will connect up through here, go over there and go over there. That doesn't particularly matter for the purposes of this video, though. What else has been somewhat lucrative? There's lots of opportunities in Doriani's Institute for gems. I do think I will be focusing on... I haven't really had any opportunity because, again, I've not been able to play as much this league. You can see here my King's March is not updated really at all. Recombinators were something that I was very, very fluidly involved with during Sentinel League. And so I have tons and tons and tons of data on how those work, and so I will confirm or I suppose deny some assertions there, and I'll put that video up for you guys shortly. But for those of you that were curious and kept asking what it was I was doing at League Start, predominantly it was just the memories. I would buy 20 at a time, and then I would ask people on stream, on Guild, and in Discord if anyone wanted to join. Ask them if I could like to give me the vultures when they dropped, honor code, honor system, or whatever, and then I get the other captures otherwise. So that was how I built up my initial vulture pool. I actually got about 350 vultures from doing that, and as it turns out, that ring actually only required 213. As I said, I was offered 5 mirrors a few days ago, and today actually I was offered 4 mirrors raw for that ring. I'm somewhat inclined to possibly take that. Again, this league, I don't really think I have too much more to prove, I guess, with respect to mirror crafting and just with what's been going on with some IRL stuff. My attentions have been drawn elsewhere. So to put all of my money into a ring on a build that I know I'm not really playing is not super enticing for me, but we'll see if the money's right. In any case, though, we're going to most likely be trying to move over the Grasping Mail mod over to the Evasion and ES hybrid chest today. If I can do that, Misha already actually made one similar, but I'd like to do it on a 30 quality base with T1 Evasion and Evasion and ES flat, and then percentage Evasion and ES T1 as well, and with the overcap mod, especially playing as a Juggernaut, because that would double the evasion base from the armor there. You could obviously do it just as a pure evasion with the Syndicate garb, I think it's called. However, and you can get 4,000 or 5,000 evasion on that, but you do miss out on the 700 ES, which is obviously very, very substantial. I do also think that one of the things that is really not super common at the moment that is going to be very valuable, I did see that TFT posted a Determination, Grace, and Discipline Aura Effect ring. I think the best in slot will actually be Determination, Grace, and Endurance Charge. There are not really any Endurance Charge rings. I'm familiar of some former guildmates of mine who do have one on a ring currently, but I think they're going more for an armor stacker method. So yeah, what else has been going on here? Yeah, we've got the 16 aura effect, Eternal Struggle there. Fortify, AoE, Resolute Technique. Nothing special about the helmet. The chest is actually quite good. Global defenses, armor overcap, the highest fire res that I can have on here because it's item level 83. And we got the perfect aura skills, and Grace is only grand. It can go up one more tier there. Earlier on in the league, and this is why you should never, ever listen to Reddit, everyone was telling me that it was impossible to move modifiers that were locked to a certain base type. So like grasping mail mods couldn't move over to those other bases. So that's why I heavily invested into crafting these. What my plans were initially was that I was going to try and put, so you see global defenses there, and then I would move global defenses with evasion overcap, and then I was going to try and put a fire overcaps to get all three of them together just on a grasping mail, because I didn't realize it was possible to move them over. But that is likely what we're going to get up to next. Today, again, I just got back after 4 days or so. I was able to pick up a nice Watcher's Eye here, ES on hit, Lightning Pen, and Leech. We got a melding, and then I got, as I said, I bought 3 passive voices today, and then crafted out some subsequent jewels for that, just to get the auras up and running here. Nothing too special. The build is not spectacular by any means. In fact, it's rather mediocre, but I haven't really put too much time into actually min-maxing or focusing on the gear yet. Running those maps, it was with the Einhar Memory of Harvest Beasts, it's tier 1 white maps, right? So it doesn't really have a high gear threshold. And when you're in a group play as well, obviously that can diminish that. So the future of this is to be seen. If I start crafting the prefixes, I'll just put it up for mirror service. The suffixes are already done here. I've done about 180 exalts and 90 wild bristle matrons, looking for the T1 EDWA. I've hit tier 2 4 or 5 times. They're equally weighted, just a little unlucky there. But once I get that, that's really the end of the process there, and then you can either lock and go for T1 ES, or you can use a Veiled Orb, or a couple options there. For both of these are just both determination ones. This one has Arcane Surge and ES. That's tier 3 ES though. And this one, I actually have a variety of different imprints on this one. In both cases here though, I was just looking for a second aura effect, as I mentioned earlier. We didn't really get too much mileage out of that. Splitting these bases has been super lucrative. I would say that we're starting to get to the point now where you can quite comfortably start looking towards the more mid to end game stuff in terms of investments. Doing that mid-tier crafting is quite lucrative in the first week, maybe 10 days. But people tend to transition past that at a certain point, and you don't really want to get stuck holding the bag. Vultures are still very cheap. Kraychiks are always a bit of a toss-up now because of the new way that they've reworked Beast. I do think Wild Bramblebacks and Vivid Watchers tend to be ones that depreciate because they're focused around Awakened Gems. So once people have those, they tend to drop off a bit. Wild Bristle Matrons are half a div right now. And Wild Bristle Matrons are guaranteed to give a metamod, with the cheapest metamod being 1 div. So I've never seen Wild Bristle Matrons not hit a divine. I do recognize that it's possible in some higher tier content for those to show up. However, again, they're definitely going to barcode there, so you can easily get a 2-to-1 on that as well. Some other things I thought were a little underpriced. The Orb of Conflict, I was getting those for 4-to-1 earlier today. That's how I was able to make this quite easily. What else is relatively cheap? Essence is super cheap. Deafening Essence of Scorn. These are like fucking 60-to-1 or something. Life Force is quite cheap. The jewel bases are quite cheap. Double Corrupting is very cheap. Getting a temple right now that has Doriani's and Locust, 120 chaos. So if you have anything that you want to be double corrupting, there's a ton of opportunity there. I'm excited to diddle around with the Recommendators, and I'll probably have something more material to feedback there. I think it's very, very cool that you can use the reflecting mists on the amulets now too. I saw a couple of my buddies actually linked me +8 amulets. Here's one right there. Crit Med. Shout out to Crit Med. You can see he's got a +8 chaos skill amulet here, which is pretty dope. Very cool. I actually have a couple of things on standard I realized that are no longer possible to do because they're all with Sentinel mods, including pretty much every charge ring in the game. So I could technically make like a 9 charge ring. If you put it on a helical ring, interestingly enough, the 50% that happens from the ring implicit actually applies when you use the reflecting mist. If it gives a 2 times multiplier, it goes 150 times 2, which means times 3. So a single charge actually goes to 3 charges. So you could technically get 9 max charges just from your prefixes on a ring, which is pretty insane. So what am I going to focus on next? Just making some currency here, making some little short-term investments. I really do have to decide whether shit or get off the pot with this one. There's no sense having it kind of half-crafted. That being said, you know, there's obviously a massive rush at the beginning of the league to gobble up as many different mirror bases as possible, and this league with the stuff that's been pulling me elsewhere, that wasn't really something I was able to do as I normally would, but we'll still get some stuff done for sure. So intradaily, just buying things. The chest I was actually buying, like I bought one of these for I think 8 divs, sold it for 20. The 20 div one I sold, I then bought a 12 div one, and I just looked a couple hours later, and these are already up to 34 divs just for the armor overcap. There's one actually at 20 right there, posted a while ago though. Those seem to be going up quite a bit. That definitely has to do with the recombinating stuff. However, I haven't even unlocked the recombinators yet, so we'll get there shortly. If there's anything that happens materially with the rings, I'll let you guys know. I definitely would check out Voices. I realized that they made Delirium more accessible. There's some super crazy deals with Megalomaniacs at the moment. I was able to get both of these for 100 chaos. Introspection, +1 max res with evasion, and leech and elemental damage. And then this one here, 6% block, life, endurance charge generation, introspection, max res, and armor. 100 chaos apiece. Absolutely nuts. And again, the jewel bases always are a good investment, even if they are more accessible. People will move on from that content at a certain point, and they will hit that threshold. But yeah, the one that stuck out to me the most for sure today, at least, was the 3 passive voices. In particular, looking at the past 2 leagues, that obviously does have the fact that the Adorned was present for these 2 leagues, and the fact that it's been nerfed somewhat will certainly impact that. But looking at the fact that armor stackers, by every metric, becoming increasingly popular, just looking at the availability of all the different things in the gear that's out there, I do think that those will still have a use. Not to mention, it's not like Adorned is out of the game entirely. It's still obviously present. This is my first time actually playing a Juggernaut. Another side note. The new jewels are insane, absolutely insane. Like this jewel here, just having 2 max res, life, attack speed, lightning damage, just absolutely wild. What I was thinking of doing for the long term on this, as I mentioned, is coming up here, getting CI, crossing over there, crossing through here, and then I'll drop pretty much this entire area. So I will unfortunately lose a couple endurance charges. But as a result of that, I will end up having something like it's 7,000 ES and 500,000 armor. I think that was with double overcap though. What was interesting for me with the double overcap is that melding is significantly stronger now, I think, because it's so easy to get the max res, right? So the -4 from here is pretty much negligible, especially if you have Purity of Fire. And then with Tessalios, which gives you the where is it here? Tessalios, which gives you the 50% of your fire res applies to cold and lightning. That would obviously be very, very strong with the cold overcap and the fire overcap. However, those are both prefixes, so even if you did transfer that to like an evasion ES base, you really want to have the flat and the percentage there. So I'll probably just stick with the flat armor. It's possible I end up switching archetypes like over to a Scion or something like that. But for the moment, I'm still having fun with this, and I kind of like to dig through the crates and learn these things, sort of gruffing it through the weeds. I know Big Daddy and Misha are probably both exceptionally far ahead, ideally with where I am with this build. It's something I've only been playing for the last month of the previous league and just a few days of this league, but still very much enjoying it. A couple thoughts I had too, and I'm sure this is not an original thought, but getting Rage on hit and having Hateforge. The fact that Rage is no longer something that has to like build that way. Hateforge just spends Rage instead. If you could get that onto an attack-based skill where you have a low soul gain prevention period, I think you could do some pretty crazy stuff with that. What else would be interesting? Oh yeah, another thing to mention too is that recombinators, as far as I know, still work with corrupted items. So you could get a ring like this, or I can get some better examples here probably. Well, let's say, okay, I would never do this with a belt, obviously, because of Mage Blood, but assume this was a ring, right? 20% grace, 20% determination. You could just use Tainted Chaos Orbs until this turned into a normal item, so it didn't have explicits. And then you could try and transfer over whatever it was with the Recombinator while still getting those basically perfect implicits, especially with a ring because of Kalandra's Touch. You just have to hit that once. Some crazy stuff you could do, too, with Reflecting Mists on rings and amulets, I'm quite sure. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. There's not too much to say for me here. I haven't really mapped at all, to be honest, and I haven't done any of the league mechanic yet. I really haven't played too much this league, and the time I have played has been very limited in terms of what I've explored, but you can see I've only got 13 maps done. So I'm sure I'll have some more updates to give you guys here shortly, but just wanted to catch you guys up, let you know what I've been doing, and maybe give you a couple ideas on things that you could buy. So if you enjoyed that, throw a like, sub, whatever it is, and I'll see you soon with another video. Take care, guys, and I hope you've been having a great league start. Peace.